Grainferno by Baby Audio just dropped. It's a granular synthesizer, possibly my favorite product from them now. If you just play a sample, like here's a sample. That's what we're looking at right here. This would be yeah. And the way granular synthesis works is it takes little bits of this sample and treats them as their own little mini loops. They're called grains. We can see the grain up here, so it's flat, nothing's playing. As soon as I play a note with this thing, we will see it go through this little grain at a rate. So if I play this is a very fast rate, by the way. That's the grain. And this grain has a shape. It's right down here. This is the shape. So if I give it a big shape, you see how this shape is? If I make it very small, we get a little thing in the middle. So it has basically 0, and then there's this little spot where it lets the audio through and this little loop it's doing, and then it continues on its way. Now, if I make this a very long rate, this is basically it's going to take longer to go through this little grain. And as a result, we're not really going to hear anything because most of it's silent. I hit the note just now. There it goes. And what we're hearing is this little window right here. If I were to give the shape up, we'll hear the whole thing. Yeah, and then there's something kind of useful to know. There's a panic button down here. If you ever are trying to make it stop, the panic button is your friend. You hit this, it'll stop. Okay, so that's basically how this works. I'm going to have the shape up here. It's important to understand how these two things interact. I'm going to bring this up, and you can do things with these grains. So right now the grains, they go through, but they're not really moving. They sit still. And you can see it moseys on along. That's because of the scan. You see the scan is times 0.01. This means it's going to move forward just a little bit of time. You could move this manually. You go backwards. We could tell the grains, hey, this is a pretty small grain. We could tell the grains to take more, to be a bit bigger. That's what this size thing is. So if we have this, you can do some cool stuff. It completely transforms the audio. That's one of the amazing things about granular synthesis. And this is one of the best rappers I've actually seen for interacting with them. Oftentimes, I feel like granular synthesis can be a bit of a dark magic, getting it to sound good. And then the last one is scatter. So these grains, we could have them appear in different places. Right now, their origin point is determined by this here playhead, but we could have them appear, around where they're supposed to be appearing. So if I go ahead and hit this, see it, they begin to scatter. So these 4 controls, really, really important. Now, there are some subsettings, but there's one other thing this does that's really cool. There is the ability to have more than one sample and morph between them. So if I come in, there's this add sample. Let's go for, I don't know, this. Why not? And this morph appears. So we're able to go between them. We'll close this. It stays on the screen. So right now we're on the first one, and then here's our second one. And you see how soft this is? It's pretty soft. There is a normalize button right here. It's kind of a crazy looking arrow symbol. I think it's like 2 squished arrows. I don't know. But anyways, you click that, it'll appear. Normalize just means, hey, take whatever extra space there is and use it. You can think of it like that. So here's our second sample. Here's our first. And we can morph between them. Now, of course, half of the art of granular synthesis is picking 2 samples that go well together, but we can help this out a little bit. First, this sounds like really high compared to this, so there is a transpose option. We'll bring it down an octave. And just matching like that immediately becomes a little more useful. Now, this is a pretty bright sound. It's got some stuff going on. We might want a bit of a filter. So we'll go ahead and we'll bring the cutoff down. And it would be kind of cool if we had a bit of a blur between them. We'll bring the feedback down, the warp up. And there are different modes for all this. Everything goes pretty deep, different filter types, different modes. And we can modulate things. So we could say, hey, here's an LFO. This thing is going to go through a loop every single time. We could say, let's take this LFO and let's give it to something. Let's perhaps have it change. We could have it change the grain shape. Let's go after the grain size. That could be something that's kind of crazy, or the scan is always a fun one to go after. So all you need to do is come up to the name and grab it. and simply attach it. And then this is called the modulation depth. This is like how much should it move? When this is at 1, how far over should this go? So we're going to go ahead and set this pretty high, and that little gray line that appears, that's the modulation depth. Maybe I play an even lower note. Maybe we increase the rate. And you can get some pretty out there things. If we bring the scan down, maybe we don't modulate this. Maybe we just pick a good scan value. Man, you could do some like horror music with this or something. I don't know. There's a compressor here as well that's pretty useful, the G comp, but there's an entire area for effects. These are just sort of here on the front, easy to get to, but if you go in the back, there's an effects area. We could perhaps give this a little bit of an EQ. Maybe we reduce the highs, reduce the lows, boost the mids a bit, and we'll leave the mix at 100. Maybe we come over to the verb at the very end. By the way, these can be reordered if you need to change them. The verb being at the end makes a lot of sense, but every now and then you want to do something weird with the verb, you can move it in front. And we'll have this be, what's our time at? 1.41 seconds. Kind of long. Let's go over like 0.6 seconds. And let's have the mix be like 20%. And there you go. You have a monster sound. I don't know, something. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the presets that are in here in terms of the templates. Let's go ahead and choose a template. So we have here our factory. We're going to go for, and you can favorite things and search according to like different things. Like if you want a drone, we could go for a drone. This should give us some sort of a drone texture. You can get a drone. You just drop it in. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the like preset fundamental templates. There's a few of them. If we come down here at the bottom, there's one for grain. And if we play this one, it tells you a little bit at the bottom. This is for traditional granular synthesis. I don't grab this one too much. I'm usually, if I'm grabbing it, I like the second one tonal, but this is grain. And you see all the grains pop up and do their thing. If we go over to tonal, this one's made to make it sound like a note. It's pretty handy, and it applies a couple restrictions to some knobs. On the rate, this is now locked to octaves. So I can only move by an octave, which is pretty handy. And you can see them change the length. I mean, this is such a cool way to visualize it. I really like the visuals. There's some more in here. There's some time stretching ones. So, right, if you change how you're reading back these in time, you get something that sounds like time stretching. Yeah. And so that's what that template's meant to do. There's a few others. There's one for slicing, one for chaos. This is just chaos. There are various randomness abilities in here. So we've got random 1, random 2. And so these have been connected up to things to do crazy stuff. And then there's rhythmic. Now, this is pretty cool. You notice I've got 2 samples here. We can blend between them. You can grab your own samples, and it's smart enough to remain in the folder so that if you're messing with stuff, you can use the arrows in here to actually go through those samples. So if I open up my browser and I grab, let's say, a kick drum. Let's also clear this sample. So to do this, you just click this little X and it clears it. I'm going to drag this in, and here's my kick. I'm going to set a very fast rate. Let's go ahead and free this up so it can move in milliseconds. You can have it be beat synced, which went with rhythmic. And then we're going to go to a pretty tiny size, a rather small scan value. Let's also have this have a narrow range. And our scatter rule will be 0. Okay, and our playhead will be right here, right at the beginning of the kick. That's where all the high frequency goodness is. If I play a note, we'll take a look at our macros. I want the sustain to be up. I want the decay, that's fine. The release, that's fine. Other stuff doesn't matter. Is our grain shape pretty good? We'll have a smaller grain shape. So this doesn't update to show you, but it's going to be like narrow up here. That's what we have. Amazing, right? I'm going to give it a little bit of forward bias. Something like that. This is a kick. So I'm going to take the LFO because I think this would be kind of cool to move around. I'm going to grab this and modulate this. We'll have it be around, yeah, something like that. Yeah, why not? Let's have it go a bit further. We can give it a shape that increases a little faster so we spend more time at a higher frequency, and maybe we actually make it negative. No. Yeah, we want it to go up, and we want it to go backwards. So we'll make the scan go backwards. That's what I'm thinking of. Okay, let's dial in the depth so it sits right where we want. I'm telling you, it's crazy some of the stuff you can do. What's cool is, let's say I want to try another kick. If I click over, it stayed in the folder. Like, that's another kick. Let's take off the random. Open up the filter. Let's try some more. I'm going to turn on the G blur here and put it on violent. And I moved it over so that when it goes through this re-trigger envelope, it actually shoots right into the range I want. That's that kick, dude. That's crazy. If we come over to the, I don't want to do a blur on this. I don't think, sometimes it can be interesting. You have two kicks. Like if we drag one, you can add a second one. Normalized is fine. Put it in the middle. This one we'll probably have to position it similarly. Off of kicks. That's just off kick drums. If we come over to the effects, let's turn on the soft clip. Okay, we're going to keep some of the original. We'll go for a compressor too. We'll bring this down. TAC, fine. What do we got? We got OTT. Let's go for that, man. We want the lows reduced, the mids brought up, the highs brought up. That's pretty good. We'll leave filter out of this, and we'll give it a bit of verb. We're going to bring the size way down, the time way down. Do we want size? Yeah, we'll leave size down. And the mix, what would it sound like all verbed out? Oh man, what if we put this first? Yeah, we'll have it at the end. I don't want the metal ring bit. And we'll bring this down. If we bring let's go back to the design. By the way, there's this play page I have not been highlighting, where it's just this and then like your 4 macros. And you can choose your different times. You can have like glide if you want like polyphony. This would be kind of weird on here if we go for like mono. It makes sense for the sound, but a glide? Never mind. The glide's a great idea. We're leaving that in. Let's go over and what if we bring this rate up even more? I reduced the LFO to almost nothing. It turned out I wasn't vibing it. I mean, that's Grainferno. That's from kick drums. Stuff you would not normally be doing with kick drums, you can do now. Let me know what you think down below. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos, and have a blessed day.